last week, I was absolutely determined, seemingly, to ruin my career at all costs when it comes to possibly uh, closing some sort of employment door for myself with AEW. So, just to make sure that I've ruined all possibilities for my career moving forward, let's talk Vince McMahon for just a second.
Yeah,
let's
I don't.
let's make entirely sure I've got no shot to get signed by anybody. Uh, the Vince McMahon situation we brought up when it first hit the airwaves, when it first hit the news feeds. Janelle Grant is the young lady, which we're finding out now, not so young. She's like what, mid 40s, early 40s. This is not the icky 20-year-old to 70-year-old situation we thought that it was. She is kind of an older woman, but she is the one who is filing suit against Vince McMahon, who is no longer affiliated at this point in any way with
In any
WWE,
way.
with
Yeah.
NTKO. He is his own entity at this point. We did talk. Well, we didn't just talk about this case when it dropped. We were reading actual excerpts from the lawsuit that Janelle Grant and her representation had put out there. But we also haven't talked about it much since we did that. And I want to address why we haven't. Because there are a lot of people that will tell you, well, you guys spent 1 minute on this situation, but then this happened and this happened, and you're still supporting this, and you're still. Okay, so really quickly, nothing really new has come from this case since the initial filing, right? So Vince started selling some of his shares from the company when he agreed to the sale of WWE to TKO. They still had him as a chairman figure within the company of TKO, and they gave him all these different stock options that all have their own individual set values. He little by little, incrementally sold them over time since this lawsuit has come out. Officially, as it stands now, he has sold all of them, so he no longer has any financial or contractual ties to either WWE or to TKO whatsoever. That's where that stands now. As far as the lawsuit itself, again, there hasn't been a whole lot of news, so to speak, or anything new or newsworthy that has come out about this. I'm sure once the court case begins to be seen by a judge, there'll be some more information that comes out, some more stuff that we can digest and cut up. But until then, I was kind of in a holding pattern to just see with. I'm not gonna sit here every fucking week. I'm not Ted fucking what's his name fucking to Connie Chung over here or Peter Jennings. This isn't journalism that we're doing here. They mentioned a story that piqued my interest. We talked about it. We moved on. I'm not gonna sit here and give you fucking weekly Vince McMahon updates. I have shit to do. It's not my turn to fucking watch him. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. So there hasn't been much news, but something has come out about this trial. That it's not an update on the actual trial, but it is something of note and it is something interesting. And I'm going to talk about it here on the show. But before I do, I want to clarify before we move forward with this conversation, just like we did the first time. Dave, you and I spoke about this story, and we said, specifically back and forth, that we're not here to defend Vince McMahon in any way. Isn't that correct? Isn't that what we said? We're not sitting here trying to do the rah rah speech for Vince.
But
Right. The
but
only case that we were trying to make is that this is not his first rodeo when it comes to fending off accusations and such, right? So, as Cody said the other day, and it's not his phrase, it's been used for forever, but it fits here. If you're coming for the king, you best not miss. All we really asked for was to get your ducks in a row. Make sure this case is solid before you go after this man. Because if there is a loose thread, a loose hair in the bonnet, anything that these lawyers can pick up on, they're going to use. We said it here on the show. I'm pretty sure, and I'm guessing, this is my own opinion, that a lot of that shit that came out actually happened. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go to jail for all of it, because it's up to the prosecution to prove their case. They have to prove his guilt unanimously across the board. And I just didn't feel at the time that they were going to be able to do that. Did you agree or disagree with that assessment at the time?
No, I didn't. It wasn't looking good.
It wasn't looking good.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good.
It wasn't looking good. Now, one of the things that has come up since we talked about it the first time in the initial deal is that Vince McMahon's representation, his legal team, has brought forth information concerning messages or communication between Janelle and Vince, concerning Janelle sending Vince McMahon love letters. You know, just letting the man know how she feels. Now, both sides are on disagreement as to who initiated that. Janelle's side is saying that Vince McMahon asked for the love letters. Vince McMahon's side is saying that she just willfully gave him love letters. But these are not your usual everyday middle school folded up loose leaf paper notes being slid back and forth within class. There's like 13 pages to these fucking things. Like, these were soliloquies. These were, I mean, our heart was emptied onto paper with this. And so that's also been admitted into this situation. That's being debated back and forth. Like I said, folks, there's holes in both sides of this. But there is also some things I'm going to read here from Vince McMahon's legal motion, which was filed not too long ago concerning the case. McMahon's released a statement concerning the case. It was read out by the representation of Vince McMahon, and they wrote this statement: Defendant Vince McMahon is vehemently and categorically denies all allegations of wrongdoing in the complaint, including plaintiff's outrageous claims that defendant coerced plaintiff into unwanted sexual acts, sexually assaulted and or battered her, trafficked her, and defecated on her. Pause for a second. Just so we're clear, he's doing the Bill Clinton. I don't think you heard me, so I'm going to say it again. I did not take a shit on this woman's head after sex. He didn't do it. That's what he's saying here. Those are false statements intended for publicity. When the complaint's allegations were adjudicated in the proper forum, arbitration, witnesses are called to testify under oath, and all communication between the parties, including those authored by plaintiff, which she intentionally did not share in her complaint, are produced. The allegations and claims will be disproven, and plaintiff will be exposed for the liar she is. That's another part of this case that has come out recently that is causing some confusion within litigators, because she filed this suit with her representation, and they're prepared to take it to court. However, Vince McMahon's representation is stating that Janelle Grant has signed paperwork with that NDA stating that before anything goes to any trial, it must first go through private arbitration first. So they're going to have a discussion with each other before it hits the public forum. Now, that was the statement made by Vince McMahon's legal team. Miss Grant's team has a response and made this statement literally the next day. And the legal team for Miss Grant says, McMahon's easily refuted lies have no place in this case. It was not necessary, reasonable, or responsible to use a public filing to impugn Janelle's moral character. Indeed, McMahon's desperate attempt to distract from the legal substance of the motion highlights its weakness and the weakness of his overall case. Now, McMahon's legal team was not going to take this sitting down, so they had a response as well. And they said the plaintiff had no right to bring this case in a public court, but did so anyway. Now that she chose this public forum to falsely accuse Mr. McMahon, she wants to silence his ability to respond. She can't have it both ways. Well, let's pause for the cause here and just realize that I think there's photo evidence out there that apparently Janelle can take it both ways. I think that's how we got here in the first place. Her ability to multitask is second to none. But here's a situation here where do you side here? Because, okay, Vince McMahon did a bunch of really ridiculous shit, allegedly, right? That's what we're here for. There's a case that's going to take place. So let's just play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say he did all of this shit and is the evil man that everyone is portraying him to be. Does he not, because of this, and I'm not picking a side here, I'm legitimately asking, even if he's guilty of all of this stuff, does he not have a right to defend himself out loud? Is that what she's saying?
I don't know, dude. Of course he does, but they're gonna do whatever they can to silence each other. It's just gonna be a public fight. They're gonna say a bunch of bullshit until the things come into light. It just all looks fucking weird.
But I don't see, and again, in that statement that I just read, that Vince McMahon's legal team put out, all it said was that he's saying that he's innocent of these charges, right? He's innocent of this, and the
He's
response.
innocent. Here's the thing, that he's innocent of the accusation that he forced these things on her. That's my whole thing about this whole thing is like, no one's denying the stuff that, well, he denied the shit, but like, no one is denying that things happened.
Yeah.
One is saying I was forced, and the other one is saying no, she was a willful participant. Some even allege to, like, you know, she was promised things, which is another reason why she was okay with doing it. And now they're saying stuff like, oh, she sent me love letters, like she was smitten off this shit. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, you don't know. You don't know the truth until we find out the truth. Someone's going to get caught slipping, and we're going to figure it out.
And that's, I think you just hit it on the head. We're arguing over intent.
Exactly.
We're not arguing over the action.
And unfortunately for her,
yeah,
the only person that needs to have, not even be proven wrong, doubt is on her side. Yeah. It doesn't matter because Vince, again, he is in a space where if he can get the people to doubt her accusations, he's gone. He won.
He's off.
That's all he needs.
He's walking.
He has one job, and it's to prove her inconsistency.
Yep.
And love letters would do that. Be like text messages back would do that. Stuff like that. So again, it's crazy that it's just like, no, this happened. She got the rock right up her ass. Yeah. She got the rock, okay? But like, she wanted the rock. Like, she selected it out of the roster I showed her. She said, "Give me the rock." You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's trying to
Jesus. Give me that guy.
What he was cooking.
Yeah, I want to smell what he's cooking. Oh my goodness! This particular exchange of comments also hurts so much because it's like Vince McMahon's legal team and regardless of the stipulations and the actual accusations that are on the docket, but when you are I don't want to say celebrity, but someone of influence, and you are being accused of something like this, the response is supposed to be, I didn't do this, I'm being blah, blah, blah. That's the usual defense. Because you got to go to arbitration. You got to go to court. I'm not going to sit here and admit to anything. Prove it. Prove that I did these things. That's the response it's supposed to be. Janelle's legal team's response, I felt like really, again, it hurts Janelle. because then McMahon's easily refuted lies have no place in this case. It is not. What's the easily refuted
He
lines?
didn't shit on her.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm getting the
We
sense that
fucked.
that
We fucked hard. But let me tell
vigorously
you something.
and
I'm
often.
old. There's no way I'm busting a nut and then shitting. It's
Yeah,
not happening.
I
I'm going
probably
straight.
he probably struggles not to shit when he nuts.
My freak is dead after my nut. Okay, you can get me to shit on you before the nut. Post nut, warm milk and nap. That's what I need after a good nut.
Some chamomile,
Chamomile.
something
Chamomile.
to ease my bowels at that point.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
dude. This shit
imagine
looks
if, so
crazy.
now that we've had sex, pass me that prune juice sitting over there real quick.
But obviously enough to get this man the only thing that could get this man removed from the product. So
Yeah.
there's obviously something we don't know. There's obviously a level of seriousness that they're keeping close to the vest. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But yeah, you're right. He's not pretty much denying the relationship. He's just saying that she's just trying to extort me for money, pretty much.
I feel like they're serving up, and they being Janelle Grant's legal team, they're serving up the other side because this response doesn't make sense. McMahon's easily refuted lies. Again, that is a telling part of the statement because easily refuted, he hasn't denied the sex. He hasn't denied the physical stuff. What he's denying is that she did this against her will. So,
right.
So you're telling me you have a large amount of evidence that proves that she did this against her will?
Against her will, easily.
That's what they're saying, easily. So we'll see how that comes out. But then the next sentence, it was not necessary, reasonable, or responsible to use a public filing to impugn Janelle's moral character. That's what this is. You can't. You filed suit stating that this person is of ill moral character.
Right. He wanted to keep this behind the scenes the whole time.
Right. You made the lawsuit public and impugned his character. If he's going to claim that he's innocent, the only way by default that he would be innocent is if your client is of ill moral repute. So that's a basic rudimentary response. For you to come out and say that you're offended that they even went public, you went public. Trust me, Vince would have loved to have not said anything public about any of this shit.
I feel like this is very, very remnant of like the ideology behind the OJ case, where they like feel like women being mistreated, women sexually mistreated, super villain Vince McMahon. This shit's a layup.
Yeah.
Right? And it really feels like, again, I'm sure there's tons we don't know.
Yeah.
But like what we have in front of us, it really feels like this shit's a layup. Like at this time of year, 2024, this shit, we're walking away with money easy.
That
You're
lawyer,
a woman, we have allegations. He's admitting to it. This shit is easy.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're like handling it weird, and it's making people scratch their head. So hopefully they don't fumble the bag. They get out what they're supposed to. They represent themselves in a manner where it looks like she was taken advantage of or misguided, and not sending love letters, wanting to hook up again or meet up in different places. Because, that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, again, my only thing about the whole case is if you're going to get him, get him. But you need to, it's Vince McMahon. You need to bring rock solid. This case needs to be rock solid. Now, if the lawyer is saying that it's, again, easily refutable, now he either has all the bullets he needs and he's ready to go, or he's severely underestimating how this case is going to lean. There's no way, there's no middle ground on that. So if these lawyers, and I mean Janelle Grant's lawyers, if they don't set a precedent that he's got a history, and he being Vince McMahon has a history of doing bullshit just like this in the past, because and this is another reason why I made this public a few weeks ago when discussing NDAs with a buddy of mine, because AEW is NDA happy, right? There's a few companies out there non-wrestling related they're really big on non-disclosure agreements. The problem with non-disclosure agreements is that they're not all 100% ironclad binding. There are ways around a lot of these NDAs. And even if you didn't want to get around one, in the court of public opinion, having one is almost the same as an admittance of guilt. It's like, well, we can't talk about it. Well, why can't you talk about it? Well, the company doesn't want us talking about it. Oh, probably because the company did something fucking stupid, right? So we can't talk about, like, when Vince McMahon beat these other cases, the Rita Chatterton cases, and all those stemming all the way back from the 80s, when they mutually agreed on terms and then had an NDA signed. Okay, we can't talk about the case that happened between Vince McMahon and Rita Chatterton, but there's a non-disclosure agreement about it. There's something there that wanted to be remained hidden, and it's not
Right.
his first time doing that when it comes to sexual assault in his history. So we may not be able to discuss the intimate details, but if I'm in a courtroom, I'm bringing all that shit up and I'm planting that seed in the jury's head. It's like, he's been here before, folks, and he's not talking about it. Don't let him do that in this case. Make his ass talk about it. Because even though, yes, there is a non-disclosure agreement that took place between Vince and Janelle Grant, why was that put into place? What exactly are you hiding from that? And then, as per the agreement for the non-disclosure agreement, you agreed to pay X amount of money to maintain the NDA, and you never paid. Does that make the NDA
Well, I would imagine they could
invalid?
use the argument of like a what do you call it, like a fiduciary,
Yeah.
or like for instance, your public information, although may not be embarrassing to you, could sway or affect the pockets of other people. So you can make the argument, me as the person, I didn't want the NDA,
Right.
but business made me do it. Like, I don't mind talking about it. I'm innocent. I don't
Right.
care. But the people, the people that I report to who have money in this don't want this spoken about at all.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
sure, you can state that I'm hiding something because of an NDA, but I can tell you, I can assure you, I don't want the NDA. I'd rather talk about it because it benefits me, but I can't because the people that I report to want this shit under the rug.
Right.
So I can counter that argument with I don't want the NDA.
Yeah.
I have to
I
because
would
of
I would
business.
go a step further if I'm Janelle Grant. Not only did I not want the NDA, I currently have one. I would be more than willing. I'll raise my hand right now to repeal it,
Right,
so
but I
that
mean for
so that we
for
can
Vince's
talk
sake
about it.
though. I mean for Vince's sake though.
I
Because you were
know,
saying like if he has one, then it's almost like it could be perceived as like an admission of
but
guilt.
that's how I would make them perceive it. I will raise
Right,
my
right, right,
hand
right.
and I'll say, "Hey, I an NDA is a two-way street. I signed it, he signed it. For my half of the responsibility of this NDA, I'm willing to repeal it for the sake of this court case." So that's my end of it. I'm done
Right.
talking about it now. Now you go and ask him why he won't repeal the NDA to talk about it. What doesn't he want discussed that he won't remove from the
Business.
NDA?
That's why I would talk about it. I can't.
Yep,
My
there you go.
business, the people that I report to, do not want this information to be spoken about.
Yep, and the juries are going to have to come to their own conclusions at that point.
Yeah, it's a
And that
tough
and
case, man.
it's you got to litigate everything.
But
Everything has to be out.
I know this sounds fucked up. I'm excited. I want to hear the shit we don't know because obviously there's something going on. He pulled out of the WWE like
Hmm.
fully pulled out.
Ran screaming from it.
Something like on the surface, what we're looking at, we laugh because
Yeah.
it sounds so stupid. But it there has to be something crazy we don't know
Uh huh.
if he did that. So that's why I'm very interested to see when this shit actually does take place and they start talking about it. Some of the information that comes out. Because this shit is he removed himself from what he swore to God he would die doing. Something is out there that we don't know. It's that's what I'm saying. I think they're keeping a lot of this close to the vest and they're doing a good job because looking at it right now, it's laughable. Like this isn't even a real case. You know what I mean? Like this shit
Yeah.
sounds dumb, but for him to pull out something back, like what if he's remember when I said before, like where's the other people? Maybe he's like paying those people. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's playing defense. Maybe he's like going to the people who he knows could support this, and we don't see any of that stuff. So I'm super interested to see the information we don't know, and like see if we can pick out the reason why. He goes, okay, well, I can see why there's like a few people under a rock right now, and Vince completely pulled out. I'm just waiting for that detail.
Well, we're waiting for this case to get adjudicated and get started, and like you said, there has to be at this point more than what we don't know. So we're not gonna disparage it any further, and we're going to move on from it again. It's gonna go back into the ether again until we figure out
Yeah,
what
we get more.
until we had to figure out what happens next and where this goes. And to be honest with you, where even if there's more to come from this at his age, what's next? Okay, he's guilty. What are you gonna do? Country club him? Where does he go? You can't put him in Gen Pop. What? This is what happens when you don't get the villains till the end. Because then what do you do? Where's the justice? Who knows?
Well, the justice is so like the justice is locking them up. So like if they can get the dub, all that money you just pulled out is for nothing. You're gonna sit comfortably in jail, but you're gonna be in jail. But I don't see that happening. I honestly don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
This is gonna be dragged along with a bunch of bullshit, and there's gonna be a big payout. He's gonna take a couple of that 700 mil he just snagged to put in his bank account. He's gonna give her a chunk of it. It's gonna blow away, and he's gonna go on vacation. So it is what it is.
Disappear off into the wilderness. Thanks for the memories. Bye
Or
bye.
he's gonna start another wrestling company and destroy
Nope.
the WWE.
No, he's not. I know. I've seen that, and people are just like, "Oh, he's buying up all his shares so he can get money to open up a new Fed." Not happening. It's
Oh, you
not
don't
gonna
know.
happen. I'll put dollars to donuts. It's not gonna happen. No fucking way.
Yeah.